Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
2 hours down, one to go here. The Vegas Take coming right live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM K-Dawn. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro, along with JD Sharp here live in studio. Stein, Campaign, Johnny, the whole gang is here. We're on Christmas Eve, JD. And bottom of this hour, we'll be joined by Alex Valentine. He's going to give us his perspective from down in L.A. Star Wars, Rise of the Skywalker, the big winner at the box office the last couple of days, but failed to match what its precedenters have done in the Star Wars saga, I should say. So we'll talk to him at the bottom of the hour. But joining us now live on the phone lines, he's a friend of the show, also does a tremendous job when it comes to covering all things NBA. You can follow him at the Jamieson on Twitter with 2 E's. Jamieson Welsh join us now on the Vegas Take. Jamieson, we appreciate you spending a little time and appreciate it.
Not a problem, guys. Thanks for having me as always. Definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely. What's up, Jamison?
Not much, man. Holiday week. It's a pretty busy week for all as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Tons of NBA basketball. We're going to get into some of those games with you, Jamison, but we want to hit on a couple stories that raised their head in the last week or so in the NBA. One of them, of course, was Kevin Garnett, obviously former NBA star, future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And he talked about what happened back in the matchups between his team and the Celtics back in the day. And he had some an interesting perspective, to say the least, when talking about LeBron James in those Cleveland days. And he was absolutely wired in when it came to his perspective. Johnny, you have the audio of what Kevin had to say with respect to LeBron.
You're trying to get in his head. You feel like you can break LeBron at this point.
We broke LeBron.
In Game 5.
So get your out of here with that, all right? You understand how you got the Cleveland, how you got the Miami bill? You remember
That's
that?
true. You broke them in 2010.
Okay, so remember that, all right?
Fair
so
enough.
Stop bringing that up, all right?
Fair enough.
So they was talking to him, okay? The media and the league knew that they had an agenda in which we wasn't part of the agenda. You understand? Right. And that's how they ended up winning that series. Yeah, I said it.
It seems like every era, right, Jamison, that you have to have a nemesis in the NBA, right? You got to have your yin against their yang. There's somebody that you need to have a focus on. And Kevin Garnett, it's a pretty apparent he has an opinion with respect to LeBron James.
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a good little rivalry. I mean, they matched up, twice, or actually, three times. If I'm not mistaken, twice between 2008. Mm-hmm. They skipped 2009 and then 2010. When he was with the Cavs and going forward, they matched up a couple times when he was with the Heat as well. I mean, it was a really big rivalry. I mean, it was really big. It was usually for who's going to the finals. So it was an important matchup and an important series. However, no one broke LeBron. Like, nothing broke LeBron. Like, the Celtics definitely didn't do that because he wound up getting the best of them more often than not. With that being said, KG's a funny character. He's a guy that does a lot of wild things, and certain things add up, some don't. But he didn't break LeBron. That didn't happen. Like, I'll tell you what broke LeBron. Having sorry co-stars and having Mo Williams and Larry Hughes and Andrew Varejao, guys like that, broke LeBron. If anything, I think having, a subpar, cast members, that hurt more than anything. And having Mike Brown, who wasn't a great coach, wasn't a bad coach either, but wasn't the guy who was going to get you over the top, that hurt. That broke LeBron more than anything. Nothing the Celtics really did really worked with him. He still – the Game 7 08, he had one of the best Game 7s ever. So it doesn't really work that way. He really didn't break LeBron. Just didn't have the, just didn't really have it. So with that being said, I will say the Celtics did had a nice run. But for a team that won one ring, the Celtics getting the most out of that one ring I've ever seen. That's not the case.
Yeah, and you're right. The supporting cast that Garnett had compared to LeBron was, I mean, I guess LeBron did have Zerundas Ilgauskas. He had Mo
Big
Williams.
Z.
He did have Anderson Varejao. Yeah. He had Matthew Dellavedova. I mean, who else did he have, Jamison? Who would you say his
Well, Dellavedova was later, right? That was
that was
that's later. Okay. Delonte West.
I think West was on that team, right?
West, Sasha Kalvachek, all those guys. But here's the thing. That really doesn't work when you're playing against three Hall of Famers.
Well, exactly.
Maybe even four if Rondo gets in somehow, some way. So that's not going to work. My thing is this. the Cavs really mismanaged LeBron's first 7 years there. They really could have did some things. They made some horrible decisions, some horrible, signings and trades that really didn't make sense, especially looking back on it. You really just didn't understand what they were doing. And that, to me, broke LeBron more than anything because LeBron figured out the business of basketball before a lot of other players did. And that's why he had the decade he had, is because he made certain moves to understand, to put himself in a better position going forward. And that's why he is one of the best players to ever play, because he put himself in a position to win.
So speaking of the Cleveland Cavaliers, a current player went off and had a big-time game last Wednesday, and that brought to heart another story, Jamison, I want to ask you about. Obviously, it's always intriguing for us to get NBA legends as color commentators or in-studio analysts because they have, an interesting perspective that they can bring to certain topics. Well, that was the case as NBA legend Scottie Pippen wanted to weigh in regarding James Harden dropping 55 on the Cavs on Wednesday. Pippen wasn't exactly calling it impressive. In fact, he was talking about James Harden and in terms of that he was just launching shots rather than playing, real team basketball. Pretty interesting way to look at it, right, Jamison, considering, Scottie Pippen is a guy that played with arguably the greatest player. I think, obviously, I don't know if it's arguable. He is the greatest player of all time. And in Michael Jordan and seeing, some those one-sided, one-player games that Jordan played in back in the day. But your thoughts on Scottie Pippen weighing on as far as James Harden is concerned?
So James Harden brings a lot of interesting opinions out of a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I think what Harden's doing is amazing. If you're averaging 38, 39 points in the NBA season, per game, you're doing something right.
Well, and 8 and 6.
Did you get it? If you shoot 20 free throws games, God bless you. You're getting 39 points in an NBA game is very, very, very good. There's a lot of players who have played a long time that will never see 39 points in a game. So for what he's doing on a nightly basis, it's very impressive. The old guys, the Pippins, the Barkleys, those guys are always going to hate on this newer generation. It's just how it goes. Now, the one thing I do agree with a lot of the older players that the style of play doesn't work come playoff time. You're going to need to do something different. And that remains to be seen. To this point, it has not worked. However, the way this league is, the way this era is when it comes to defenses and the way the game is called, Harden is doing what's right there in front of him. He's doing what he's supposed to do. I just want to see how is it going to work when the shot doesn't fall and the calls aren't going his way. Then what happens in a playoff, especially if Russell Westbrook is as streaky of an outside shooter as he has been the last couple of years. What's going to happen then? Because that's when things are different. Regular season's different. Regular season, you play a team once. If they had a back-to-back or if they're in the middle of a 3-game or 5 nights, the preparation is not the same as in a playoff series where you're seeing a team for 2 weeks straight and all your coaches are focusing on how to slow them down. So that's the only thing I agree with the older guys with. But during regular season, James Harden's put on an impressive performance every night, it seems like, and no one should be hating on it. It's a very, very impressive. And 38, 39 points for a guy at 6'5", that's amazing.
Yeah, especially with I just think his hand-eye coordination is next level, his offensive game, because he doesn't dunk it that often. He has a very good Euro step. Obviously, he's got this new shot where he jumps off 1 foot and somehow that goes in. But averaging 38, 6, and 8, which is what he's doing right now. Michael Jordan I think he was the last person to average 38+ in a game. Am I correct?
Yeah. 39. 39 points. I don't think anyone's averaged 39. Harden's right around that right now. 39 is like Wilt stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's it. However, I will say this pace and the type of game we have now, it's unfortunate we didn't see the players of the past. We didn't see Kobe or Michael in this particular system. Hell, even a young LeBron in this system would be amazing because it's the way the possessions. They did a comparison of the Suns back in the mid-2000s to now, and the Suns would rank in the dead last in pace. And they were breakneck fast 10, 15 years ago. So that's just the difference. That's the difference of the games. But again, don't hate on James Harden. He's doing an amazing job.
And I'll tell you this: I don't really trust the Rockets in the playoffs right now because you look at their stats. They're in the bottom 10 field goal percentage wise. They're in the bottom 10 3-point percentage wise. But you've still got Harden dropping 40 a game, and that means that his supporting cast is doing what they're supposed to be doing right now, especially with Gordon being out. So the Lakers are 24-4 now, I believe, after the loss against the Nuggets last night. LeBron James sits out. Doesn't say it's load management related, but they have a commanding position in the West. Obviously, do you see him sitting out more often? Because obviously they need to reserve his minutes for the playoffs. But do you see him sitting a little bit more often in the near future and then just dropping some games in the process?
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, they got off to a really good start, which a lot of people criticize. The schedule was what it was, but if you look at their schedule, they're 8-6. They lost 6 games. They're 8-6 versus teams above 500,
right.
And I believe 18-0 or 16-0 versus teams that are not. So they've done what they're supposed to do. They've taken care of business, and like anything else, and this goes for any sport. If you take care of business versus the teams you're supposed to, and you go like 500 or slightly above 500 versus the good teams, you're gonna have a very good record, and that's what the good teams do. Now they have a very flawed roster, and for them to be at 24-6, the roster they have is very impressive because they lack playmakers and they can use a little bit more outside shooting. But with that being said, when you have 2 top 10 players, or top 5 or 7, how you want to categorize the 2 guys they have, you're going to be in every game if those guys are healthy. It looks like Anthony Davis had a little scare last night. He tweaked the knee. He should be okay going forward, but you never know. LeBron has some sort of slight rib injury. They did hold him out last night. But again, when you're 24-6, you can hold guys out. If you're 500, you got to play guys.
Right.
That's the difference, and that's why you take advantage early. You put yourself in a position to be able to rest guys here and there. If you drop a game, it's not a big deal. Now, if they were 18-12, totally different story. So they're in a good shape, and they have a couple more tough games. They have the Clippers on Christmas. They have Portland and I believe Dallas this weekend. And then after that, the schedule eases up. They have like the Pelicans and the Suns to open up the new year. Up until MLK Day, their schedule is pretty light. So they're going to be okay going forward. They're going to be in a position to finish out this month pretty strong if guys are healthy, and going into the new year pretty strong.
So you mentioned one of the Lakers' upcoming opponents, the Dallas Mavericks. They're actually having a very good season themselves. I believe they're 19-10 or 20-9, despite the fact that Doncic has been out the last 4 games with the ankle injury. Do you think that they are for real and to be reckoned with in the West?
They are for real because they have great coaching. Especially they have an all-star in Luka. They have another guy that will be an all-star when healthy in Porzingis. And you have probably a top 3 coach in the league. I can make an argument he's the second-best coach in the league in Rick Carlisle. So when you have that mixture, you have role players that know what they're doing, comfortable in their roles, you're going to be in great, great shape going forward. My thing is this. Eventually those role players are not going to make the threes that they're making.
Right.
I want to see what happens when the 3 ball's not going down for them. Then we'll have the Tim Hardaway Jr.'s, Dwight Powell's, those kind of guys. I want to see what happens when those guys' shots aren't falling. Then what? But they play pretty good defense, team defense. They're a very solid team. Luke is, on offense, he's amazing. Defense, he's still trying to figure it out, but he's still young. He's under 21, so he's going to hopefully get better on that side. But no, they are for real. However, they've never been to the playoffs as a unit, so I wouldn't put too much hopes into them. They have to take their playoff chops like everybody else. They may get around, but that second round is going to be tough against whoever they play, whether it's the Lakers or Clippers, Denver, whomever it is. But they are going to get to the playoffs, and when that happens, who knows what may happen.
NBA insider Jamieson Welsh joining us here on the Vegas Take. Chris Wynn along with JD Sharp here live in studio. You can follow Jamieson at the Jamieson on Twitter with 2 E's for all things NBA. So we got a full slate coming up on Wednesday, Jamieson, starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time as the Celtics are in Toronto to take on the Raptors. Then you've got Rockets, Warriors, Pelicans, Nuggets. The Bucks are in Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. And then the Battle of Los Angeles closes it out at 5 o'clock our time with the Clippers taking on the Lakers. You think about that slate, Jamieson. Which one of those games intrigues you? Because, look, we understand that the Warriors and Rockets was supposed to be kind of a marquee game, not necessarily the case anymore given the injuries. Which one of those matchups intrigues you the most?
Yeah, that's a nap time game. We're not worried about that.
Right? Yeah.
We'll be taking a nap.
Wait a minute. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see all those rookies and you don't want to see Poole and all those guys out there taking the court for the Warriors.
Cool. I'm good. I mean, I've seen enough Draymond for the last 5 years. I can take a break.
Yep.
The Warriors will be back next year, though. I will say they have a lot of options. They're gonna have a top 3 pick, and they're gonna have some trading chips. If they want to make a big splash, they can. They're not getting Giannis, but they have a lot of options to what they can do this upcoming year.
I really hope they don't get Giannis. That would be a problem.
No, they're not going to.
Okay,
they're not
good.
Going to, but that's a different story for a different day. With that being said, they're going to make a big move. For this year, the redshirt year, we don't need to see them on Christmas. We actually need that game flexed, if possible. Pelicans, Nuggets, need that game flexed. Celtics, Raptors, even though the Raptors, missing like half their team. They actually came back from 30 versus the Mavericks last night. So we know they're going to give a big fight. We don't know if they're going to win, but we know they're going to put up a big fight early at 9 a.m. our time. The Celtics should win, but, the Raptors are tough. The Bucks-Sixers should be the best game of the day. That should be the best game.
I think so,
because you got the two best teams in the East, talent-wise, and everything that's constructed. The Sixers are still trying to find themselves. Another team that has identity flaws, roster flaws as well, but they're so damn talented, you take your chances with what they have. I don't know how well coached they are. I think they could be better coached. With that being said, they're to me the biggest threat to the Bucks out east, and I think this is a potential Eastern Conference Finals matchup, and I think this is probably the best game. So I think you have Bucks, Sixers, Lakers, Clippers, Celtics, Raptors, and the other two they can flex out. However, I think going forward, the NBA should have more games on Christmas to have the ability to flex out games in scenarios like this.
So the NBA trade deadline will be coming up, what, a month roughly?
February 7th, I believe.
Have you heard of any potential deals that could be coming through, and what do you see taking place? What teams do you think need to make moves?
Well, every team needs to make a move because there's no favorite. Like right now, there's no Warriors of the last 4 years where it's theirs to lose, and if something happens, it's rain. Everyone needs to make a move. Everyone needs to get better. The Lakers, as we talked about earlier, need a playmaker, need some more shooting. The Clippers, they can use a better big or more bigs. They can always improve the point guard position because Patrick Beverley is who he is. The Nuggets, they have a lot of roster replication. They can always kind of figure some things out and go for a bigger fish to put them over the hump. The one name I always keep on hearing is Robert Covington. He's a 3-and-D guy. He has a really good contract. He makes like $11 million a year, which is not bad for what he produces. So he's a guy that's always going to be rumored. The T-Wolves have been terrible, and they lost 12 in a row. If I'm not mistaken, 12 or 13 in a row. They've been in a really, really bad spot. It wouldn't surprise me to see them blow it up just based off of the situation that they're in. It's unfortunate, but it's time. Whether they get rid of Teague or Wiggins or whatever they do, they'll keep Towns, of course. The rest of that roster is bad. So I can see them trading away some of their role players and trying to figure things out going forward. The Pelicans are going to trade J.J. Redick. There's no point of having him on a team that's in last place in the conference. There's teams that can use his shooting. Even though he's terrible defensively in the playoffs, he's really good at shooting, so he can help a lot of teams space the floor. So seeing him move would not be a surprise at all. But other than that, we kind of have to see. But if you're a Lakers fan, don't be surprised to see Kyle Kuzma moved. He's a guy that can get a big contract this offseason. He has not played to those kind of expectations. So the Lakers have an interesting situation. Do you try to go for it now and trade one of your pretty much your only trade chip and improve the roster? Or you keep him hoping he gets better and figures it out? It wouldn't surprise me to see him be moved by February.
So one of the teams that has a lot of shooters like J.J. Redick already, especially on their bench, is the Milwaukee Bucks. I've watched them play quite a few times. They're probably the deepest team in the NBA, top to bottom right now. Do you think that they are the favorite? Are they your favorite to win the NBA title?
Nah, no way. The reason why I say that is this is all regular season stuff. We saw this last year.
Yeah.
We saw this last year. This is nothing new. But we saw all this, make a bunch of threes and all this and that. In the playoffs, it's way different. Now, Giannis has gotten better. He definitely has gotten better. However, I want to see the consistent second option, whether it's Middleton, Bledsoe, George Hill, whomever it's going to be. That's what I need to see step up because I know what Giannis is going to do. Giannis is going to get his 25 or 30 no matter what. It might be rough, but he's going to get it. The rest of the guys I don't know about. I don't trust those other guys hitting open and big shots because they didn't do it last year. From games 3 to 6 in that conference finals, they just didn't do it. And that, to me, is a huge red flag. I got to see it before I believe it.
We're going to transition to college basketball really quick. Who do you have right now as your sleeper team? Because there is not a dominant team in college basketball. At least I haven't seen one. I mean, the 5 number ones have lost for the first time, I think, in history. Who is your dominant? Who is your favorite right now in college basketball, and who is your sleeper to win the national title?
Gonzaga is the favorite. I mean, they've looked the most impressive to me. For the schedule they've played thus far, and for what's taking place in the country, they have been the most consistent. They've gone and played a lot of big schools, and it's worked out in their favor. So to me, that's been impressive. With that being said, there's been a lot of disappointing teams. We saw Kentucky twice last week. They're definitely disappointing. A sleeper team is kind of odd because we have so much parity in college basketball. There's a lot of reasons for that. That's probably a different discussion for a different day. But San Diego State has been very surprising. I did not see this coming. I did not see an undefeated team, even though they barely beat San Jose State, who was at a rough, last few years.
Right.
But San Diego State has been very surprising. I did not expect this at all. Not one bit at all.
Jamison Welsh joining us. You can follow him at the Jamison on Twitter with 2 E's. He is wired in all things NBA. And, of course, we got that full slate coming up on Christmas Day. Jamison, have a great holiday week. Enjoy your basketball on Wednesday. We now know that you're going to be taking your midday nap during the Rockets-Warriors game on Wednesday. So
do not disturb, and TV's going off. I save on electricity. So
we appreciate you spending some time. We'll talk to you again soon, okay, buddy?
Oh, not a problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jamison.
Yeah, there you go. Jamison Welsh, NBA insider. Yeah, there's some matchups on Wednesday that we're all going to be in tuned on, but there are a couple of snoozers on there also as well. So I guess you got a little mix if you're an NBA fan. Coming up next here on the Vegas Take, we'll be joined, and we'll actually be joined by Alex Valentine at the back end of the segment. But when we come right back, a legend returns to a staple in American television. We'll talk about that and much more as we continue on the Vegas Take. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro and J.D. Sharp at the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.